Hey guys, how's it going? This is now the fourth iteration of this video I've tried to make, and hopefully I do a bit of justice. Welcome to my 5 points on Avengers Infinity War. Keep in mind there will be spoilers. If you don't want to know anything about the film, you haven't seen it yet, I strongly suggest not to watch the rest of this video until you actually see it. It's best to go into watching Infinity War without knowing any spoilers. It just makes the whole experience a lot better. See it as soon as you can. It's absolutely fantastic. For those who have seen the movie and want to stay on and hear what I have to say, welcome to 5 points about Avengers Infinity Wars. So what I've tried to do this time is actually, rather than go on and try rehash the whole movie and not do it any sort of justices or at all, because it is an absolutely fantastic movie, I thought I'd pick out 5 key points from the movie that I thought were really important in making it work, in really telling the story of what we've just seen in Infinity War. We know obviously it is the story of Thanos trying to get the Infinity Gems. It's his movie in the end, and I'll touch on Thanos a bit later. But you do get this ensemble cast coming in and working together, and this is where the Russos have done an absolutely fantastic job of actually putting this beast of a movie together and making it what I think is the best Marvel movie that they've created in the past 10 years, and they've done it fantastic there. The Russos as the directors, and their cast, from the producers to the camera work to the CGI to the person making lunch, they've all done a fantastic job. The actors were great as always. There were a couple of standout performances that I'll touch on a bit later. So point 1, I've actually gone for Gamora. Now, we know Gamora, she's one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. She's also the adopted daughter of Thanos. And she is a key. She turned out to be a massive key in this film, to the point where she knew something Thanos needed. Thanos ended up finding out by torturing her sister Nebula. And we end up finding out that information was where the soul gem was. And it ends up being the catalyst for her. She's one of the big deaths in the movie. There's a first spoiler. Gamora actually is used by Thanos. Well, not used by Thanos, but is the way Thanos... She is a way for Thanos to get the Soul Stone. So in this section, in this part of the movie where we see the Soul Stone, we come across Red Skull, and he tells Thanos, you need to lose something that you love in order to obtain the Soul Stone. So essentially the only person that Thanos loves is Gamora. So what he does is he pushes her off a cliff. And that's how key Gamora is in regards to this movie. You get to see a bit of the Thanos backstory, which I'll go through later, and you see that Gamora is key to this. It's really a softer side of Thanos that you actually see in the movie. It's all based around Gamora. She's the love of his life in a like a father-daughter sort of way, and she is the thing that he needs to essentially let go of or use to get the soul gem. He uses a bit of a harsh word, but you know, he needs to lose something he loves. He loves Gamora. She gets sent over the edge of the cliff so that Thanos can get the soul gem. It's a pretty heartfelt scene, and to lose Gamora that way, being as fierce as she is, and we know she is, it's very heartbreaking to see that. But that's a lot of heartbreak is in this movie, and we'll get onto that. So the next point number 2, is actually what I think is a bit of the changing of the guard. We see a few matchups. I mean, you'll see on my screen here, there's a few matchups from the movie. You've got the matchup of Thor and the Guardians. You've got the Secret Avengers, so Black Widow, Captain America, Falcon, who essentially team up with the Wakandans, Black Panther and the Wakandans. But then you have the one in the middle. You have the team up of Iron Man and Doctor Strange. Now, these are two very polarizing people as characters. Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch are two great actors. Side note, you've got two Sherlock Holmeses right there. Anyway, as characters, they're very, very much headstrong. Tony being the leader of essentially the leader of the Avengers and the man who built it and created it. Doctor Strange being a mystical wizard, extremely smart, extremely headstrong. Even from when he was a surgeon during the Doctor Strange movie, he was very much it's his way or no way, and that's pretty much the same as Iron Man. But there's a bit of a changing of the guard through the movie, especially when it comes to the point of, I believe Tony kind of doesn't have control because he doesn't know what happens in the future. But we see during the movie that Doctor Strange puts himself in a position where he can see approximately 14 million different scenarios of what will happen in the future, and comes to Tony and says only one scenario works out in their favour. And I think, without being too obvious, Tony kind of resigns himself to let Doctor Strange run the show without being too obvious about it. It's like Tony's the face, but you've got Doctor Strange behind the scenes, knowing that one scenario that can change everything. Doctor Strange essentially has control of what happens and tells essentially Iron Man to just follow him. And we get to that point where Doctor Strange, as much as he said in the start of the film that he would let SpiderMan and Iron Man die before he handed over the time gem, we see that he does hand over the time gem to Thanos, but essentially does it because it's the only way for a good, or for that one good outcome, or one positive outcome to happen. He calls it the end game. When he does hand it over and he essentially saves Tony's life. So to me, it's essentially not a case of they needed to stop Thanos now, but more of a case of they needed to do what they did now in order to stop anything further. Now, that could mean a lot of different things. That could be a lot of different things. That could be Thanos going even crazier, trying to do more damage, or it could be that he's not in a position anymore, but we've got this collection of soul gems. Does somebody else try and get it? Is it the only way for the Avengers to be victorious? So the Infinity Gems are all in the one place, and once Thanos has used them, they can regather them and use them themselves. I don't know, but essentially this little part leads to some hope going into Avengers 4, the next Infinity War movie. So yeah, that's a bit of a change in the guard I saw, and I think going forward we'll probably see Doctor Strange become more of a leader of the Avengers, especially with his mystical powers and the potential of alternate or differing realities or multiverses being used in the future of the MCU. Point number 3. This is probably my favourite thing because I'm a really big Thor fan. I've always been a fan of Thor and his movies, even though some of them were absolutely panned. Yes, okay, Thor The Dark World was shocking, but nonetheless, there was a redemption with Ragnarok. The part that I really loved was the whole Stormbreaker story, the how he went with Groot and Rocket to the Space Forge, essentially started up a Dead Star to create this super weapon, a godlike weapon that would easily defeat Thanos. It's an absolute beast of a machine, and then you see, once it's created, it has the power of the Bifrost. It can transport people across the universe. It's brilliant. You see Thor jump into the action after the Stormbreaker hammer or axe is created, and he he pretty much calls out Thanos. I want Thanos, and absolutely goes apeshit over the Outriders that have invaded. They're trying to invade Wakanda. He goes full God mode, and we thought it was awesome in Ragnarok when he finally used his full powers. Nah, this goes to a next level. Thor really busts out, and it's Stormbreaker brings that out of him, and it's an absolute beast of a weapon. I love it. It's fantastic. But then again, I'm a massive fan of Thor, considering he's played by an Aussie actor too. You know, I've got to support the Aussies. So I was glad that they went with that, and they used that weapon, and they made him that powerful. It was just absolutely brilliant. Point number 4, which is a really interesting one, and it will be interesting where they go with this storyline because of who it is, but it's the Hulk. And at the start of the movie, we see Loki quip that line from the first Avengers film by Tony Stark saying, "We have a Hulk." And you see Hulk bounds out and starts to lay into Thanos. Thanos is only playing with him. He absolutely turns the tables and puts a beat down on the Hulk like you've never seen before. I've never seen anybody beat down the Hulk like that. And he just goes to town. Only for Heimdall to save him and send him flying into Earth through the Bifrost and land in the Sanctum to tell Doctor Strange about Thanos. But from then on, the Hulk doesn't return. And that is... There's a few theories going around about that, and one of them is that the Hulk is scared. The Hulk got an absolute shellacking by Thanos and now just doesn't want to come out. It seems that way, but then again, when you look at it again, you see that Hulk doesn't actually face Thanos again. He doesn't come face to face with the Titan. So you have to question, what was he afraid of? Or was it just that he essentially went childlike and said, no, I'm not coming out, I don't want this to ever happen again, like a massive, massive performance issue or crisis of confidence. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next, because we know that Hulk is one of the survivors, and to see whether Hulk actually busts out or Banner gets to a point where he just loses it and allows the Hulk just allows itself to come out. Very interesting arc they took with that one. I've never seen that before, but it's a really good twist on it. You know, you see Banner actually trying to be the mean guy when the mean guy doesn't come out. So you really go, what the hell just happened there? So, point number 5. So I've actually dedicated this point solely to Thanos, because in the end, it is his movie. It is a movie about Thanos wanting to collect the Infinity Stones, put it in the gauntlet, and make his way with the world, for want of a better term. We learn a bit of Thanos' backstory, where he wanted to do this on his home planet of Titan to reduce the population by half so it could grow and prosper. And people essentially said to him, "Are you mad?" and exiled him from his home. And this is where we kind of get in, and we meet Gamora for the first time as a child, because he goes to another planet, which is Gamora's planet, undertakes a cull in that sense, but saves Gamora and treats her as his own daughter, taking her under his wing, raising her and turning her into an absolutely formidable weapon. And this is where we get Thanos to be we see the tender side of Thanos, or the very, very torn side of Thanos, when he gets to the point of wanting to get the Soul Gem, where he has to lose someone he loves, which in the end he throws Gamora off the cliff because he doesn't want anything to stand in his way of achieving what he wants, of culling half the population of the universe in order for it to prosper. But the reason why I wanted to mention Thanos is not just for the character, but for the actor who plays him. Josh Brolin does an absolutely fantastic job of playing Thanos. He really gets into the role. You look at him in real life and he's a badass. He just looks it. He's just got that look about him. But, he really conveys it in this with Thanos. And just to the point where he goes from those extremes of ultimate power and confidence to those emotional drawing, the emotion drawing scenes with Gamora. You really get to see his range, especially when such a forceful character like Thanos, where everyone expects him just to be this hard bad guy, where in some points in the movie you actually kind of like him, or you go, oh man, that's harsh, or you kind of go, oh, you were treated so badly, Thanos, or whatever it may be. But there's some points where you kind of feel sorry for Thanos, and you go, oh, is he right in what he wants to do? It's not that he wants to be evil, it just, he's going around trying to save the universe by killing half of it, which potentially could help it. Josh Brolin does a fantastic job of conveying that, and you really can't go past him as that supervillain, or that the bad guy. He's absolutely fantastic, which is why I can't wait to see him in Deadpool 2. So they're my 5 major points. So from that you can probably tell Thanos does get the 6 Infinity Stones. He uses them. He clicks his fingers. Half the universe's population turns into ash, and we lose some favourites. In saying that, a lot of the original Phase 1 Avengers survive. So you've got Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, they all survive. We lose people like Gamora. We won't include Gamora or the other people that died, like Loki, Heimdall, and Vision. They're dead. We'll only include the people that vanished or turned into ash, which were Peter Quill, Drax, Mantis, Groot. That was really sad. Doctor Strange, as much as he said it's the only way, he does vanish. Falcon is gone. Scarlet Witch is gone. Bucky goes. And I want to add an extra point. It's point number 6, and it's another one that goes, which is SpiderMan. He vanishes, but it's a real emotive type thing. Tom Holland does an absolutely fantastic job in this part, where it's like it's a Doctor Who scene where I don't want to go. He jumps up as he's fading away and hugs Tony Stark on Titan, and on the planet Titan, and he goes to him, I don't want to go, Mr. Stark, I don't want to go. So he's obviously scared of what's happening. He doesn't know, he's just vanishing. Tony realizes what's happened, that Thanos has done what he's done, and just holds him until he disappears. It's a really emotive moment. A lot of people were crying in the cinema. Personally, I first cried when Groot died, because that really got me sad. But it was fantastically done by Tom Holland. He did a great job there. So there we have my 6 points relating to Infinity War. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic movie. Like I said before, I think this is the best Avengers movie that has been created. People may disagree. Fine. Put it in the comments. I'd really love to have a discussion about this. Really want to hear what you think. If you really, what you liked about it, what parts of the movie you thought really resonated, where you thought it could have been done better. By all means, let me know. Let's have a chat about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So, they're my 5 points. Please leave a comment. if you want to see more of these, we'll probably do a few more movies with some big movies coming up, like Deadpool, The Incredibles, Han Solo movie. We'll see a few more of these, so subscribe, like, and I'll probably end up doing another short video for the end credit scene. Stay tuned.